everybody, and welcome to another episode here of Topic
Thunder.
This week from the Top 10 Show, I'm John Roca.
And I am Matt Nost, and we are pleased to bring you another edition of Topic Thunder. This is a show that we do for our patrons over at patreon.com/the top 10 with the number 10.
Yeah.
And they send in whatever they'd like us to talk about. We don't know what it is beforehand. We just answer them as they come in. John, I believe it's your turn to start this time.
It is. Yeah, let's get to this one here from Cheney Taylor, who sent this to us over on our Patreon. Not normally the way we go about it, but hey, why not? If you got to ask a question, you got to ask a question. It says, hello, Matt and John. I just joined at the $5 level. Thank you, Cheney. It's very kind of you. I was previously at the lower tier for a long time and decided to step it up. I have followed you guys since your beginnings at the Schmodown. I love your show and your time together on the Schmodown. So did I. My name is Cheney Taylor. I'm from Dallas, Texas, and I'm a high school math teacher and robotics coach. Shout out. My question is, if you had a favorite, if you had a favorite teacher, who was it and why? Then can you name the worst teacher you ever had? And unfortunately, most people can. There are always bad teachers. Also, name your favorite movie, TV teacher / mentor. I hope this question hasn't been posed. I'm always excited when former students remember me and send messages to let me know how they are doing and what impact I had. I hope one day you guys make it to Texas. I would love to get a picture with you all for the Instagram. Keep bringing awesome content, and thank you for providing me material to listen to while I grade my students' work. Respect. Sincerely, Chene. I hope I'm saying that right. So, Matt, favorite teacher, worst teacher, and your favorite on-screen movie or TV teacher. What do you got?
Well, I mean, my favorite teachers were the ones, since she's a high school teacher, I'll just use that as a point of reference.
Sure.
Because when you're younger, it's a different metric.
Yeah.
By which whether or not you like the teacher, although some of it is the same, but my favorite teachers in high school just treated me like an adult. So, so long as you did your work and all that, then they treated you like an adult.
Yeah.
And didn't talk down to you, didn't treat you any lesser, answered your questions, but also challenged you. Like I remember there was a couple teachers that had reputations for being just hard asses. And then you got into their class and you're like, look, so long as you don't act like an asshole, it's a two-way street and it's great. These are some of my favorite classes. So it's just that. I just remember the ones that basically didn't make me feel as though I was lesser. And it's fine to not know the answer or be inquisitive.
Right.
But just because someone gets something wrong doesn't make them an idiot. They just, they're learning this information as it comes in.
Yeah.
So yeah, those were my favorite teachers. I had several in high school. I a history teacher that I loved. It's what's the point? Because none of them listen to this show, and B, nobody else that listens know who the hell they are.
Okay, fair enough. Worst teachers?
Worst teachers. Well, do you want to answer that? Do you want to answer the first part?
Yeah, sure. Best teacher? Yeah, there's two of them. Dr. Ryan at Northern Virginia Community College. Back when I was not sure what the fuck I was going to do with my life, because I was in the military, but I wasn't really going anywhere. And I dropped out of school my first trip through college because I just wasn't ready for it. And I was really not sure what I was going to do in terms of college, in terms of school, in terms of education. And I wasn't that confident about going back to school. And I started going to this community college near my house. And she was the first one to kind of inspire me and give me confidence that I could analyze things. And who knew it would lead to this like all these years later, because I obviously took a detour into being an actor. But from the beginning, she was an English teacher who was very high on me and my abilities to look at stuff and analyze them and find symbolism and find the meaning of stuff and explore things in a different way. So she's the one that kind of put that inside me, that it was possible for me to finish school, get a degree, be educated enough to handle things like that. And then Dr. Martin in high school, she really was very supportive of my endeavors creatively. So those two teachers were really powerful teachers in my life, both women who really inspired me to pursue the things that I wanted to pursue. Yeah, I had one bad teacher. It was in 5th grade. She was, I don't know, maybe I've told the story already before here on the channel, but on the top 10, but I said she was let's just say she was, I don't know how to say this, but she she was not good to kids who were not white. And I grew up in a Southern Virginia town, and I noticed that early, and I called it out. And I went to the principal in 5th grade. I went to the principal and said this, and they monitored class. They monitored, like, without her knowing, they monitored her interactions, and they eventually moved her on to another place. And she was pretty brutal. She said some pretty uncomfortable things, some pretty harsh things, out of the vein of what a teacher would say. And so I just felt this impetus in 5th grade to confront this and bring it to a teacher's attention. And things happened. So, I mean, those were the 2 worst teachers. I pretty much got along, or the worst teacher. I pretty much got along with all my teachers, regardless of their abilities. It's just that she was so overtly biased towards a few of us in the class. We just happened to be people of color that it became so obvious, you know? So, yeah. Did you have any bad ones?
I mean, I had a professor in college that it was 3rd semester Spanish.
Okay.
And every guy got a D or an F, and every girl got an A.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And I was good. I knew the department head because she taught introduction. She taught, you know, 1st semester Spanish. And I had met her. I wasn't. So it's one of those where you could sit in on a class, and if enough students dropped out, you could take their place.
Yeah.
Just like by registration, I registered late for it and I needed it. So I showed up every day to her class, and I handed in my homework, and I was one of the better students, but I ultimately didn't make it into the class, and I had to take it the next semester. So she remembered me a year later when I came in. I went to her and talked to her, and I was like, look, there's no way I'm failing this class. You've seen my work ethic when it comes to this. And I almost minored in Spanish. I enjoyed it.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And he ended up losing his job for this because they went back and checked, and he had done it previously. As far as like high school, where Chene teaches, it was anybody that you could just tell that they didn't give a shit.
Yeah, right.
I had a science teacher that 4 days of the week he did not want to be there, and the 5th day was Friday, and he was just excited for the weekend. So we never really had much class on Fridays.
Yeah.
And he did not give a fuck. He used to sit in the front of the class. He'd put a chair. So there's a front row of desks, and he'd slide a chair up, and he'd put one foot up on it so he could lean his elbow on the raised knee. And he would sit there and flex like his forearm on that and just like talk to the class and all this weird stuff. He was really aggressive. And then it turns out like 10 years after I graduated, he got arrested for domestic violence.
What?
Yeah.
Jesus.
And it was one of those, I heard the story and I was like, not surprised. That dude was fucking strange. But he just didn't give a shit at all.
Right.
And I learned nothing in that class. So, I mean, those are the bad teachers. Anybody that had the spark of joy, even if I didn't like the subject matter, they could get me interested in it in some regard.
Sure.
And I realize everybody has a bad day. I'm not saying,
of course,
you can't have a shit day and you're not, you know, in the mood to teach that day. But when it's, you can tell it's every day. But that was a rarity. The vast majority of my teachers were all good people.
I think a vast majority of teachers are. There's always that, you know, there's always going to be that one who's doing it for a paycheck. Everything else didn't work out, so they became a teacher because they got to fund things. It's like, you know, it's like any job, right? There are some bad police, right? But I think most police do want to do a good job.
Sure.
But there are some that are just, you know, this is what they fell into, or they couldn't do anything else, or they kind of want that lust for power, and so they abuse it. And the same thing here with teachers. There are some teachers that abuse that power and don't understand what their actual goal or what they're actually supposed to do here in this job, and you know, pull that shit that you're talking about. You know, I had a few of those in high school, especially in the sports side of things. Like when you went coaches, there were definitely a lot of coaches that were a-holes in sport, and they had their people that they knew they were going to put on the team, and no matter who tried out. They were going to put their people on the team.
Yep, had that.
Yeah, it was so frustrating. I tried out every year for 3 years for a sport in high school, and I thought I was good at it. And in the end, they never picked me. And it was always the same fucking guys. I'm like, better than that motherfucker. I've showed you I'm better than that motherfucker. But because he's friends with him or friends with his dad, he put that kid on the team. And so it was so frustrating to see that kind of shit, you know?
Oh, I had a football coach who didn't like, I had two sets of friends, my friends on the football team and the friends that weren't on the football team. And the varsity football coach didn't like my friends that weren't on the football team.
Mm-hmm.
So he set out to punish me to stop me from hanging out with those friends. And eventually I just like, I'm done with you.
Yeah.
Like I'm out. He ended up driving off almost all my friends. We were in 8th grade, we were the best team in our division. And then our freshman year, we were the best team in our division. By the end of freshman year, I left and a couple other guys left. And by the end of sophomore year, the whole team was a mass exodus.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And then he left the school after that, before we became seniors. And it was like the first losing season as seniors that the school had in 2 decades or something ridiculous.
Wow.
But he turned into John Voight in Varsity Blues. He wasn't that aggro, but it was, you know, he was an asshole and he ruled the fiefdom because it was a tiny little school and he was king shit. And he didn't have to teach any classes. He just got to coach the football team.
Right.
Yeah. And just
I don't want your laugh.
Yeah. I'm fucking done with you. I had another teacher.
That's brilliant, dude.
Mr. Sandy, man.
Oh boy.
He was a weird fucking guy. Just weird. You could see it. You could see it in his eyes. He was fucking strange. We all talked about how strange he was in high school, but he was like, he was never a threat. He was just weird.
Right.
And then it turns out that when cell phones got cameras, he put one of his cell phones in the women's faculty bathroom.
Oh, what?
Yeah. And got caught. I don't know how long it had been there. It was long after I'd gone, you know. I'm an old man. There were no cell phones.
Right.
They didn't exist for a couple more years until I was out of high school. I'm saying ubiquitously where everybody had one.
Right.
There were cell phones before then, but nobody carried one around.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And then when I heard that about Sandy, I'm like, Sandy, man. Yep. That makes sense. He just had the weirdest fucking eyes, man. The weirdest eyes.
Sandy, man.
And then there was always a running joke that our principal, he'd walk around the school with a mug at all times, and we all joked that he had alcohol in it. Turns out he had alcohol in it. We found out afterwards that he was walking around the halls just sipping on his booze all day long.
We had two teachers in high school who were known for that. Mrs. Turner, who did English, and Mrs. Davies, who did social studies, you know, history and stuff. They were known to go out on the weekends together and get smashed. And Miss Turner would come in on Monday mornings when she was hungover with her sunglasses on, and she would just go right off the bat, be like, "The bitch is back. The bitch is back today. Y'all need to deal with it." Like she would literally say that in the class in high school. You couldn't get away with that now at all. She said, "The bitch is back," and she's doing it. And always when Miss Davies, because she was older, when Miss Davies didn't come in on Mondays, you knew that they were out drinking on the weekend. Like there were Mondays where she did not come in, and you knew what was up. And so it started spreading amongst the kids because their parents would see them at local watering holes getting fucking drunk. Because at the time, Dale City wasn't that big of a city at the time, when I was in high school. And so now, of course, now it's huge now, but it wasn't that big when I was in high school. So they would see each other. Parents of the kids would see them at the local bars and whatever. And so it was so funny when that started spreading around. Then you'd see it, and they'd make little jokes, and you'd be like, "Oh my God," you know, you'd get it, you know. So I hear you, man. So they were, you know, the sipping booze thing. I'm sure there are quite a few that had drinks back in the 1980s and 90s of high school. I'm sure.
I'm sure there were others. That was just a running joke, and it turns out that.
Yeah.
I remember I told my mom that years after I, you know, left high school, and she was so just aghast.
How could they?
Yeah, how could he? What? No. And just offended beyond measure. And none of us cared. He's the principal. It's like, what do you don't affect my life, like not in a day-to-day sense.
Right.
So I didn't care. It's like, hey, whatever. He's always in a good mood.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Genial man. Do I know that for a fact? No. Am I guessing? Yes. And then it turns out maybe that guess was correct.
Yeah. That's so funny. Favorite teacher in film, television? I mean, is Dead Poets the default? Is Robin Williams the default choice? Let me see.
The dude from Head of the Class.
Oh, Howard Hessman. Yes.
Dustin Hoffman on The Simpsons. He did a guest episode where he was Lisa's teacher, and
Really?
he inspired her. He was a good teacher. I remember that one.
Let's see here.
Good teacher.
It does Schwarzenegger count in kindergarten?
Sure. Why not? I mean, this is kind of, I can't think of a lot.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Cotter from Welcome Back, Cotter. Absolutely.
Skarsgård or Sarsgaard or whatever from Good Will Hunting.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, right. Stellan Skarsgård, yeah. Mr. Hand from Fast Times. I could see that.
Sure.
Miss Crabapple from The Simpsons. Okay.
She was a terrible teacher.
She was, right? What about Miss Cross from Rushmore? Was she a good teacher?
Oh, I don't even know, to be perfectly honest. Well, it's just I don't even remotely think of her when I think of that movie.
Yeah, me too. Mr. Holland and Mr. Holland's Opus.
Sure, it's a good teacher.
Would you agree with that? Professor Snape? What about Snape?
I think ultimately, yes.
Yeah, I think so
and
too.
McGarnacle and Leah Thompson's. Not Leah Thompson.
Emma Thompson.
Emma Thompson.
Right.
I
wouldn't say Jack Black from School of Rock, mostly because that's not I don't like that film.
Oh, really? You don't like that film?
Yeah, it's not my jam. I don't know. Mike White's a little tough for me to come around on.
He's a good teacher in that.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I would say that. He inspired the kids, got them motivated.
True.
Into a new passion.
Maybe I need to see it again. It's been a bit. Maybe I need to see it again. Let's see. I'm looking through some Matilda. I didn't see Matilda. Oh, Jaime Escalante, of course, from Stand and Deliver. Oh, what a terrible Latino I am. He was awesome in that movie. Yes, that's a great teacher.
Oh, yeah. Well, then there's Lean on Me.
Yeah. Joe Brown.
But he was he was a principal.
Oh, that's true. He was a principal, so maybe not 100% teacher there. Joe Clark. Yeah. Right, Joe Clark.
Joe Clark.
Sam's. Not Julia Roberts and Mona Lisa Smile. No thanks.
Never seen it.
Yeah, Mr. Hall. Yeah, all right. What about Veronica Vaughn and Billy Madison? Was she a good teacher? I mean, she got him there.
Yeah, I think so. I think she was a good teacher. Those kids loved her.
Yeah, for many reasons.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there we go. Thank you, Chene. Appreciate the email. Very kind of you. And thanks for coming aboard the Patreon. It's very kind of you. All right, Matt, where are we off to next? What's the next question here?
The next one comes from Andrew Gorzicki. Gorzicki.
Okay.
It says, hey guys, so recently some buddies and I were talking about the days of 80s and 90s comedies headlined by Steve Martin and Bill Murray and how they don't make those kinds of movies anymore. As we came up on tournament season, I thought it would be fun to see a quick tournament style game about their movies based on your opinions. I've put together 8 Bill Murray movies and 8 Steve Martin movies, 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7, etc. Highest rank continues versus lowest rank, blah, 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 blah. You guys, he wrote that, by the way, the blah, blah, blah. You guys obviously know how tourneys work. Then the winner of the Murray bracket goes against the winner of the Martin bracket to be named champ. I could have easily done 16 for both sides, but I didn't know how long this would take. The rankings are based on my personal thoughts of the movie, so I'm expecting to hear some upsets and expecting to get some shit for certain choices. Thanks again for all the great entertainment, making my drive to and from work a lot more enjoyable. Drew Gorzicki. Okay. All right, so I guess we got the Murray bracket first.
Wow.
1 versus 8. He's got What About Bob versus Lost in Translation.
I mean, you know where I go on this one. This is an 8 upset, 8-1 upset, but
yeah, no, I chalk for me. It's 1/8 on that. Here, I will keep a running tally.
Oh, I like this. Okay. All
right, let me get a piece of paper that I can write all over.
Drew, this is tough. This should have been our whole show. This is great.
Well, we're about to go through it. All right, so you've got Lost moving on, and I've got What About Bob?
Yeah. What an upset right off the bat. 8/1 right off the bat.
All right. Next one is a 2-7. Kingpin is the 2-7 is the Scrooged.
Yeah. I mean, how can you know Scrooge should be number 1? I'm going to take Scrooge in another upset. 7/2.
All right. John is taking Scrooged.
Yeah.
As much as I enjoy Kingpin, it is an upset. Scrooge takes down Kingpin in that one.
Absolutely.
I'm guessing Scrooge started off the season slow. Either that or they had a couple losses late in the season and it dropped him down. It's one of the two.
Well, a key member of the squad wouldn't get tested, wouldn't get COVID vaccination, so it affected the overall record.
Now that they're going to Toronto, it's going to be a problem.
It was Buddy Hackett. He did not want to get vaccinated. Ghostbusters Caddyshack is 3-6.
Yeah, so the 3-6. What are you taking there?
I'm gonna go Ghostbusters because he's not the lead in Caddyshack. He is, in essence, the lead in Ghostbusters. So I think it's a stronger performance, even though the Caddyshack performance is damn good and memorable. What about you?
No-brainer. Caddyshack takes that one. Another upset for me over Ghostbusters. And then finally, we've got a 4-5 Groundhog Day versus Quick Change.
Yeah, I mean, all day Groundhog Day. I don't know how Quick Change is ranked 5. They must have really overachieved during the season to get the 5 slot. That is really surprising for Quick Change. A film it's hardly anybody talks about. The Bill.
It's Coach K's last season, so they got to bump up in the standings just for sentimentality. How exciting was that? To that game was awesome, dude. And then to watch them lose felt really good.
I felt bad. I mean, as much as I've hated Krzyzewski for years, especially as a Maryland fan and a fan of the ACC, hated him, hated those Duke players. I did feel sympathy because that guy's a legend, man. So I felt that way about Dean Smith, even though I hated him the majority of the time.
Dean Smith, I agree with you on, because ultimately he seemed like a likable guy.
He did, right? Yeah.
Coach K, that shitty. He hasn't been able to unclench his asshole and had a good constitution in 5 decades. Face that just always pissed off. It's like that seems like who you are at all times. Even when he's happy, he looked pissed off.
Yeah, fair.
Except when he was with Team USA. It's like the only time you saw unbridled joy from him.
Yeah, because his ass wasn't on the line. Everyone else's was.
All right, so we'll close out the Murray bracket before we get to Steve Martin. All right, so you've got Lost versus Scrooged. Lost in translation, that is.
I got to go Scrooged on that one.
Oh.
Yeah. I do.
All right.
Yeah.
And I've got What About Bob versus Scrooged. I am taking Scrooged as well.
Ooh, okay.
All right, and you've got Ghostbusters versus Groundhog Day.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to go Groundhog Day. I like Ghostbusters. I don't go crazy for it the way other people do, but I like it. I just think Groundhog Day, we're talking Bill Murray performances. This is as close to Bill Murray as a complete actor that you're ever going to see this side of Lost in Translation. Or, so for me, that gives it the nod. That gives it the, it was close. It went double overtime, though. It went double overtime for sure.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Now, your argument against Caddyshack saying his part is smaller, I think is I agree with.
Yeah.
So Groundhog Day, he is the focus of, and I'm taking, we have the same final bracket.
Ooh, okay.
So Groundhog versus Scrooged.
Okay.
What say you? What is your Bill Murray making it out? I know mine.
I mean, I think I have to go Scrooged.
I am in agreement.
Right, because it's a classic film. It's a Christmas film, and it features one of the most purest, honest acting scenes of Bill Murray's entire career when he delivers that monologue at the end. And that gives it the nod, just the slight nod.
There's that, and then dealing with the homeless guy that killed himself.
Yes.
Not killed himself, but died of the cold.
Yes.
And just you didn't have to do this. You didn't have to go through this.
Right.
All right, so we both have, even though we meandered, we got to the same outcome, which is Scrooged making it out as the number 7 seed.
Yeah.
All the way to the finals.
What a surprise. What a surprise here, man.
All right, now for Steve Martin, here is the bracket. 1 versus 8 is Planes, Trains, and Automobiles versus Roxanne.
Oh, fuck. PTA all the way. It destroys Roxanne, even though Roxanne's a good movie.
Yeah. I mean, I like Roxanne a lot, but Planes, Trains is an all-time classic. 2-7, it's Bowfinger versus Parenthood. I think that's a little high for Bowfinger, but
yeah, I would give the nod to Parenthood here in another 7-2 upset because Bowfinger's really Eddie's movie, not Steve's movie. And Parenthood is very much Steve's movie because everyone is kind of dealing with their shit. Steve is kind of like the patriarch of the family, even though Robards is there. It's Steve's journey in the movie that is really the number one story in that movie, in my opinion.
yeah, here's like the rankings for that last bracket, utter bullshit. So 3-6, it's Father of the Bride versus Sergeant Bilko. And I took Bowfinger, by the way. I hate Parenthood.
You did. Of course you did. Of course you did. Okay.
I have not seen it all the way through in a long, long time, but I saw it in the theater and I hated it.
How did Bilko get into the top 8 for Steve Martin performances? I mean,
how is it better than, as much as I don't like Parenthood?
Yeah.
Roxanne is way better than Sergeant Bilko.
Yeah. Bilko must have really like just defied the odds and got some incredible bounces in some games because there's no way.
Yeah, I feel like it's an IOC situation and somebody was bribed. It's the only way Sergeant Bilko is getting a 6 seed.
He's not even like the best part of Bilko.
Is there a best part of
like
Sergeant
Phil
Bilko?
Hartman? I think is the best part of Bilko, or
possibly,
right? I mean, just a little.
That movie
bit.
Sucks.
Yeah, it does because Steve Martin is no Phil Silvers. Phil Silvers is a whole nother fucking type of energy as a comedian, and Martin doesn't even come close to that.
Yeah, so it's a no-brainer. Father of the Bride.
Yeah,
right?
Father of the Bride.
Okay.
Exactly.
The last one is
wow.
Is The Jerk versus Three Amigos, and this is how is this the 4-5? How is
Christ.
Bowfinger and Father of the Bride higher than both of these movies?
This is like the Nuggets versus the Jazz in the first round. This is not good. This is like rough right now.
I've got mine. I don't like it, but I've got it.
This is like the Mavericks versus the Suns in the first round. You're like, what? How did these two end up playing each other in the first round? I'll go The Jerk because I don't like the Three Amigos the way other people do. So I'm gonna say The Jerk.
All right. I went Three Amigos.
I know you did. I know.
I love The Jerk too. That is like a 50.1 to 49.9. I just saw Three Amigos in the theater as a kid, and I've loved it ever since. Whereas The Jerk, I didn't get to until I was in college.
That was a triple OT game that in your universe was won by Martin Short, like the little guy in Hoosiers, miraculously hitting a free throw to win the game at the end.
It was like a Jimmy V running onto the court because it was a tip in at the last second. That's how close that game was.
By Chevy Chase.
Sure. One of his last likable parts, undoubtedly.
True. Very true. Oof. All right. So
you've got
the whole show. All right.
Planes, Trains versus Parenthood.
PTA. It's not even a question. It's not even a question.
All right. I'm saying the same thing. I've got Planes, Trains versus Bowfinger. I am taking Planes, Trains. Then you've got Father of the Bride versus The Jerk.
Yeah.
I'm assuming The Jerk.
Yes.
Yeah, I got Father of the Bride versus Three Amigos. Three Amigos wins that easily.
Yeah.
All right, now Planes, Trains versus The Jerk. What are you doing?
I got to go The Jerk on this one because PTA is really John Candy's movie, not Steve Martin's movie. You're more sympathetic to John Candy. That's the journey you're going on. Martin is the prude in the movie, whereas in The Jerk, he is showing some incredible comedic chops, legendary comedic chops in that movie with some funny scenes, and he is the focus of that movie. So because of that, I give the nod to The Jerk.
All right. I am taking Three Amigos over Planes, Trains.
Oh my God.
Oh, okay. So me upsetting Planes, Trains is sacrilege, but you doing it. is justifiable.
It depends on the movie. You're using the Three Amigos over PTA, which is
a fantastic film with 3 comedic actors in their absolute prime, and Steve Martin is the glue that holds that movie together.
Okay.
All right, so then it's for you, Scrooged versus The Jerk, and for me, Scrooged versus Three Amigos.
Wow. Wait, so we got to decide an ultimate winner from both of them?
Yeah, that's one bracket versus the other bracket, and ultimately one has to win out.
I will see Scrooged 5 million more times before I see The Jerk. So I have to give it to Scrooged as the ultimate winner. And also because between both of those kind of stuck-up prissy pants comedians, I always feel a kinship with Murray more than I do with Martin.
Okay.
I feel like Martin would talk down to you as he's reading his Nietzsche or some kind of fucking author in your face. Whereas Murray would at least throw back a beer with you and sneak off and have a drink with you in the back or a smoke with you in the backyard or something. I think that's why I gravitate to Murray more than Martin.
You say that, but then if you watch like Martin and Short together on any kind of whatever,
yeah,
Martin Short takes the piss out of Steve Martin all the time and undercuts him, and I don't see that in Bill Murray's world.
Really?
Where publicly one of his friends constantly does that?
Yeah, that's fair. You don't see that. You're right about that.
You don't. That's a sign of humility that very few performers on that level are willing to express.
It's a good point. It's a good point.
Not saying that Murray wouldn't do it, but also how many stories of there Murray being a diva on set?
Yeah, true. You're not wrong.
There's in a single one of those of Steve Martin.
That's true.
Just to be contrarian, I'm going to say Three Amigos. I'm going to watch Scrooge more because it's part of the holiday rotation.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's in the discussion for one of my favorite Christmas movies, that Christmas Vacation.
Oh yeah.
And a handful of others.
Right.
Grinch. But just so we don't have the exact same brackets, why not? I'm going to take Three Amigos, but that's a fun game.
That is fun game.
I question some of these rankings.
Sure. Which he anticipated. He says that in his email. You guys are going to give me shit for my rankings. So,
in what world Sergeant Bilko A deserves to be on the list, even if you were clutching for straws on that one. Should be 8. Yeah. Should be 8.
Look, if you're listening to Topic Thunder, let Drew inspire you here with this concept, because I think this is a brilliant fucking concept that we could take a whole half an hour on one of these. So if you have been hesitant about sending questions, thoughts, and comments, like, I don't know what to talk about, do a little legwork here and create something like this, because these brackets were fun. And so that could allow Matt and I to really have some fun kind of bantering back and forth about these things and deciding which way we fall.
Yeah, you could even take it to 16 apiece or change the criteria, directors versus whatever.
Yeah, I'm down. This is great. Thank you, Drew. I appreciate that. That was a lot.
That was a good one. Yeah. 2 good questions today, Chene and Drew. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
And I think that's it for us today on Topic Thunder. If you'd like to participate in the show, once again, head over to patreon.com/the top 10 with the number 10. You can join us over there. You can follow the show at Top 10 Show, all spelled out on Twitter. Otherwise, on Instagram and YouTube, it is /the top 10 podcast with the number 10. So please hit us up. We'd love to have you. And you can follow me anywhere at Matt Nost.
Yep. You can follow me at The Roca Says everywhere you go on social media. All right. Y'all take care of yourselves. Be well. And we'll talk to you next time with another brand new episode of Topic
Thunder.